Hello, it's Kenny. Today I'm just going to be covering what the expectations are for the grade 2 technical lessons, okay? I already did grade 1 and we're moving right on to grade 2, and to be quite honest, a lot of these are the same or not much more difficult. From grade 1 to grade 2, not a big change. There are a couple things that are a little bit tricky, but some of them are completely identical. For example, the first scales are the G major ones, and it's relative minors, E minors. They're exactly the same as in grade 1, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. You just have your G major, standard fingering. Okay, what I mean by standard fingering, as I covered in lesson 1, is you pass your thumb under the third finger, and then under the fourth finger, and on the way down you pass your fourth finger over and your third finger over, coming down. Same opposite in the left hand. Left hand, you pass your third over, fourth over, third over, and then you pass your thumb under. That's exactly the same as in grade 1. So are the minor scales, except for a slight difference here, okay? Here we have E minor harmonic. In grade 1, they had the natural E minor, which was this. Okay, it's got the same key signature as G major, the 1 sharp, all right? However, it's starting on the E, which is the relative minor. Remember, go down 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3. Okay, grade 2 does not have the natural minors. It has the harmonic and the melodic. We covered harmonic here. That one, remember, you raise the 7th note. Practice them slowly and surely, but the 7th note, instead of that D natural, you've got the D sharp. In the left hand, exactly the same as in grade 1. However, now they're adding this, the melodic minor, all right? In this case, it's a little bit of a strange scale because it's different going up than going down. On the way up, you raise the 6th note and the 7th note. So there's a C sharp and a D sharp. And on the way down, it is actually that minor scale again. It's just coming down. You lower those 2 notes. So we haven't completely lost that natural minor scale. This is actually the downward form of the melodic one. And I want to make very clear here, okay? On the way up, I raised the C sharps, all right? And here I raised the C sharps. And on the way down, we had to put a natural there because they're going back to natural. But I did not put the D and the C naturals in over here. Okay, there's a reason for that. Once a bar ends, all right, just want to repeat this. Once a bar ends, it goes back to the key signature. So on the way down here, those C naturals and the D naturals, they should be natural. I shouldn't have to write them in, all right? You just have to get used to it, all right? It's just within a bar, if you raise it, okay, in this case here, you have to, sometimes, you don't have to always put another sharp in because it stays that way within a bar. But once the bar changes over, it's back to normal, back to the key signature. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because it's sometimes a lot confusing. Left hand, same thing. Raise the 6th and 7th note. And on the way down, it's just the normal G thing, E minor with that F sharp in, which is the actual key signature. Okay, that was a bit of a review in a sense, but the melodic scale is always going to be used from now on, all right, because it's much more common than just playing the natural one. Okay, next we have the F major scale, which was also in grade 1. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat too much other than I'll just remind you it's slightly different fingering in the right hand. Instead of passing the thumb under the third finger, you do it under the fourth. And then after that, it ends on the fourth, and then you pass the fourth over there, and the third over. I went into much more detail in the grade 1 lesson on that, so if you didn't watch the grade 1 lesson, maybe you want to go back to that, just because there's a few things I taught that I'm not going to teach today because it's going to be boring if I keep teaching the same thing. Left hand, same fingering. Just normal fingering, okay? Alright, now in the minors again, relative minor, we have D minor. Alright, and here we go, we're raising that 7th note, so instead of C natural, we have C sharp. So the key signature is B flat, so you get this big stretch. Some people find that awkward, I don't know. You get used to it, okay? But D minor harmonic, very simple. Normal fingering, and then in D minor harmonic in the left hand. And again, now we go on to our melodics here. And what do we do in the melodic? You raise the 6th and the 7th. Now what's the 6th note here? That would be that B flat that's in the key signature. No, you got to raise it to the B natural, okay? Right there. So on the way up, 6th and 7th are raised. And on the way down, they're both lowered again. Alright? On the way down is that natural minor, which only has the B flat, which is in the key signature. Same thing in left hand. That's the D minor melodic. It's a little confusing because for some reason it's different coming up than coming down. But it sounds okay. It's just seems strange, whereas the harmonic is the same both ways. Okay, that was F and its little cousins, or its actual relatives, the D minors. Our next scale, a lot of people have little problems with. This is the B flat major. And the B flat major, it's got 2 flats in its key signature, B flat and E flat, okay? And what makes it tricky, I mentioned in the grade 1 lessons, you try in scales to avoid using your thumb on the black notes because it just gets really awkward. It's not comfortable. Alright, so in this case we have different fingerings for both the right and left hand. Alright, here we start with the 3rd finger and then you pass your thumb under right away. And then you see you end up, that's fine, you got the E flat on the 3rd finger and then you pass your thumb again. Ending with the 4th finger up there on the B flat. Pass the 3rd over and then the 4th over. Okay, so it's a little hard at first. People just practice it slow. It's just a little bit strange when you're so used to your standard fingers. You get used to that and then someone throws a loop at you and has this thing going on. Okay, it's not that bad, but again, practice. All the fingerings are here. You can get the sheet music down in my comments section. The same thing for your left hand here, alright? You start on the 3rd finger again, and then you pass that 4th finger onto the E flat. The 3rd finger on the B flat, end there with a 3rd up there. Then pass the thumb under. Okay, it can be a little tricky at first, all right? This is one of the ones that gives people nightmares when they're starting grade 2. Why do I have to play B flat? Because it's such a weird fingering after I learned the good ones. But anyway, you'll get it. Good news now, though, it's minors, the relative minors, they don't change fingerings at all. All right, G minor harmonic. Here we are. We're going to raise that 7th note, which happens to be F in this case, to an F sharp. All right, so it'll be this one. Here's that big stretch. You have the E flat in the key signature, and then the raised 7th. All right, but same finger, normal fingering on this one. You don't have to learn a new one. All right. And left hand, similar thing. Remember to raise that 7th note. Okay, and the melodic here, remember now we're raising the 6th and the 7th. So where's our 6? 5, 6. You're raising that E flat to an E natural, and then the 7th. On the way up, of course. Oops, I made a mistake. I started playing the harmonic one. Okay, we want to raise the 6th and the 7th on the way up. And on the way down, it is just what is in the key signature, the natural minor. It's just the 2 B flat and E flat. So on the way down, no, nothing is raised, not the 6th or the 7th. It's just normal. So let's try it in the left hand. 6th and 7th raised, and then back to natural on the way down. That's the melodic scale, all right? That's what we're going to stick to from now on. Okay, on to a couple weirder scales, okay? They're not that weird, they're just kind of strange. Okay, the first of these 2 weird scales, of course, is our friend the chromatic, which we learned in grade 1. Alright, grade 2 just mixes up a tiny bit. It just starts it on G instead of C. So they call it G chromatic. It's the same scale. It's the same fingering. All the chromatic means is you're playing every note. It's not in any real key, which is why I find it strange they call it G and C. It can start on any note, D. Alright, but you just got to remember that the chromatic fingerings, all you're using is 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3. And always, the best way to remember this is keep your 3rd finger on the black notes. Alright, and it just works really good, alright? Chromatic scales are a strange one. You don't use them too often when you're playing in public, but they are there, you know, and they're good exercise. Same with the left hand. Okay, just 1 octave. Just take it slow, but again with the left hand, it's the same thing. Try to use your 3rd finger on the black notes, and you won't go wrong. Okay, alright, our next one is something weird. Someone invented this way back when. I don't know who invented it, but they called it the formula pattern. Remember in grade 1, we had what was called contrary motion. Both hands were going opposite ways. Now, with this crazy formula pattern, it just takes that to another extent, all right? And this one is kind of good to learn hands separately at first, all right? Because it gets a little confusing here, all right? All right, the right hand, it goes up 2 octaves, nothing strange. And then it comes down, then it goes back up again. And then it comes down again all the way. Very strange. This one you'll have to use the sheet music just to get it straight. And the left hand, it doesn't keep going like the right hand did. It just goes down again. And then here it comes up. And now it decides it wants to go up another octave. Very strange. And then it finally gets back to there. So when you put them all together, sometimes they're in contrary motion, sometimes they're not. So this one, it's one of those ones that you gotta keep practicing it, but once you get to know it, you can do it in your sleep too. But it's a strange one, okay? So both are coming up. And now, right's going up and left's going down. Now it's opposite. Now left decides to come up. Right goes up again. And they finally get back together again at the end. Alright, is a really strange thing. Alright, so again, just read the sheet music. It's not that difficult, it just sounds really weird. Alright, okay, now you want to do also in G major. I'm just going to try to pull this up a bit so you can just see the G major version there. Okay. And it's exactly the same thing, all right, except it starts it's in the G major scale with a 1 sharp. So both together, opposite motion, left coming up and both coming up, opposite, finally, they're both coming down to the end. Alright, that's just what the formula pattern is, alright? It's strange, but I think they just use that so you're getting used to playing your hands very independently, which is very important. So they're not always going up at the same time, they're not always going down at the same time. So that's a good exercise, even though it's a little tricky at first. On to our triads. And again, a lot of this is just repetition from grade 1. Alright? Alright, number 1, G major triad. Remember a triad, it's called triads because it's 3 notes. It's the root chord of the scale. Alright? Alright, so all you're doing is playing. Very simple, alright? Do them separate, I mean staccato. You don't have to be smooth. Just give you time between so you can get your fingers used to going in there, alright? Watch the fingering. Sometimes you need the second one in there, but usually you're just 1, 3, 5. But if there's a little bit of a stretch, you might want to use 1, 2, 5, okay? So that's solid. You also want to do them separately, okay? Not separately, they're broken is what the word is. Yes. Exactly the same thing, except you're playing the notes one at a time instead of in big chords. Alright? Alright, G in this left hand is the same. Solid, broken. Alright, exactly the same as grade 1. So are its relative minors, the E minors. Play it solid, play it broken. Left hand. Okay, those are exactly the same as grade 1. And so are these ones here. Let's just bring this up so I don't have to go change it. F major, same thing as grade 1. F, A, C, the 1, the 3, and the 5 is the same as the G was, but just different notes. And then solid and broken. Left hand. very simple. And then you get into its minors, all right? You don't have to worry about raising your 6th and 7th or anything with the triads. They're very simple. None of that confusion exists. So you have and left hand. Okay, these are all 1 octave. You can go 2, you can go 4, whatever you want to do. All right, but all the exam standard we want is just 1 octave, hands separately. Okay. Now it gets a little trickier here. Well, not trickier. The B flat majors is right here. All right. Okay. Now where I lied. All right. I told you in the scales you want to try to avoid as much as possible putting your thumb onto the black notes. With chords, you pretty much have to sometimes, all right? Because that's comfortable enough there to play B flat, E, D, and F. But if you try to avoid it, you're really stretching your hand out, all right? So chords, you almost have to break that rule about putting your thumb on the black notes. But you can, don't try to play it way down here. Get right up between the notes here. Use the whole extent. You don't have to be down here. The whole, right up there, if you hit the note right at the top, it sounds just the same as if you hit it at the bottom. So if you go right between, it's a little tricky, but it can be done very comfortably. All right, so you just have your thumb on the black note there, 1, 3, 5, same fingering. Broken. And left hand, you got your 5th on that black note, and that's something you sometimes want to avoid too, but you can't get around it because if you don't, you're really stretching. So take these really slowly. You know, if it gets uncomfortable, give your hands a break. You don't want to hurt yourself. But then the solid and then the broken. Okay, I missed one. I didn't go on the top. Let's try that again. Alright, and its relative minor is not too hard. The G minor, solid and broken. Alright, in this case, you got the B flat in there, but it's very comfortable just to play that with your 3rd finger. Alright, that doesn't present any problems. Except for the first inversion. Here you are. And you'll have to put your thumb up there to get that B flat. Other than that, just keep working on it. It's kind of new. This B flat ones just they are very new and they give people problems at first. It's probably the hardest part of grade 2 is getting the B flat and the G minor. But G minor left hand, not too hard, all right? G, B flat, and D, and the inversions. And then you play that one broken. 5th finger on the B flat. Little uncomfortable, but it can be done. All right, have fun with those. That is grade 2. That is what you need to know for grade 2 technical. Thank you.